From the many stories on the internet, reaching ghosts, goblins, demons, and even insane people. The stories that are either written to be scary or tell an interesting story based on real life. This is Cadillac Horror 2008. I'd like to warn you about the dangers of buying a car from a random person's house. There is a chance you'll end up like me if something like this happens. I was in need to trade my old Porsche 959 I got for my 17th birthday, but not only was it giving me a hard time, but it always gave out in the middle of the road. And to be honest, I really don't want to waste tons of money just to repair it. I decided to go look for a cheap but good car that suits me well. Most car dealerships in my area don't sell cars under 10,000 bucks, so that's not an available option. At that point, I was just gonna give up for the day, cause I couldn't find a good car that I liked. The next day, I drove out of town to see if I could find a car dealership out here. Just to my horror, it broke down in the middle of nowhere, and now I had nowhere to go. I was stranded in the middle of the lonely road. I saw a house and a farm just a mile away. It was a bit lifeless, but I could tell someone lived there because I saw a person sitting on the porch. I walked down the road to the house, and as I got closer, I saw the Cadillac that had a for sale sign on the windshield, but I didn't want to buy it immediately as the person didn't know me. The man looked like he was in his 50s, but yet pretty healthy as well. He asked me why I was out here to begin with, so I had to tell him about my need to replace my Porsche 959. He pointed to the Cadillac that was sitting outside his little garage, and he told me that he is needing to get rid of his car, not because it was old and rusty, but because his wife went missing a few months after he bought the car for her. He also told me that it is in need of a new coat of paint for it, as the old paint is starting to wear out. I gave him a 50 and told him to keep the change, as I was more grateful to even get it anyways. That sucker has to deal with my crappy Porsche. The car was amazing. It drove really well, and I surprisingly didn't get pulled over because of its condition. The first thing I was gonna do tomorrow was go down to my uncle's house and see if you can give it a paint job and maybe fix it, cause I knew for a fact he owned an auto shop. I forgot to mention that this car had a problem. There were no windows in it, so that meant it would be easy to break into the car, and the doors were a little bit loose, which was why I was taking it to my uncle in the first place. For the next few days, I sat in my house all by myself because there was really nothing for me to do. I wrote my stories online as that was my job. A few days came by and now it was in perfect condition, and my uncle got the registration paper for me. I couldn't be more thankful. What I'm about to write next is what's been going on with the Cadillac ever since. The first week wasn't so bad, but there have been some strange things I've been hearing at night. There were tire screeches in the middle of the night, but I thought of it to be some lunatic teenagers messing around at night on my street. When I looked outside my window, the screeches always come to a halt. What was more strange was that the smell of a burnout was coming outside my front yard. I thought it was those stupid teenagers yet again. The weekends went by and I didn't have any problems with the Cadillac. Although it rattled a little as I drove to the hospital and hadn't caused any problems those days. The second week was really strange. My car keeps starting itself in the middle of the night and I can't even explain how it's doing it, but I swear on my life that I wasn't doing it. It always rattled really loudly too in the middle of the night as well, and I don't know if anyone was in there. The windows were tinted, thanks to my uncle, so I have no way of figuring out if someone or something was in there. As for the weekends, I couldn't drive it because for some reason the engine was heavily damaged from those 5 nights. I have no choice but to spend a lot of money just to repair the engine, but I'll do it Monday morning. The third week was starting to get even more strange. The car has started itself once again, despite the engine being crucially damaged. It rattled more violently than last week, and I swear to God, I could hear loud ghost shrieks coming from the car. I tried to block out the sound, but it just won't shut up. The weekends was even more bizarre than the last 2 weeks. My Cadillac has went missing, so I don't have any other form of transportation. I decided to tell my relatives and my uncles about it, and they were just as confused as I was. I don't really know what to do. I can't properly explain it without it not being convincing. The fourth week was just by far the scariest shit I've seen. The car was now back in my driveway, but I've noticed tons of blood scattered all over the car, as if it were killed something. Like I said, I don't know how to explain it, but I refuse to believe that I bought a car that was haunted. I didn't want to get in it because of the strange occurrences. It left every day and came back the next morning. And it did so during the weekends as well. I think someone's hijacking my car and just to do some dirty work and blame me for it. So I got a camera on Sunday and spent the whole entire evening setting it up. It was foolproof. No one can get away with it. I can't pretend that it's not haunted anymore. When I woke up, I saw the car was gone once again, but I noticed it spilled a little bit of oil on the sidewalk, probably because it needs to be changed. I looked through the camera footage and saw that nobody got into the car. Suddenly, I saw it start up. It drove away screaming into the night. It was indeed haunted, and I was stupid enough to buy a car from a weirdo who sits on his porch drinking moonshine. I decided that this Saturday morning, I would go straight to the junkyard and get a new car with all the money I have in my wallet. I'm now writing this after I got rid of my car, and I got myself a new Ford Taurus, and for the rest of the weekend, I didn't have any problems with my new non-haunted car. The next few weeks were really normal. I finished the story I was writing on, and people really liked my new car. I was just glad I got rid of the Cadillac. I should have done it while I had the chance. It was probably the best thing to do. Oh no. Oh no. I can't believe it. That Cadillac is now back in my driveway again. I got rid of it. How has it not been destroyed? How is it back? I'm literally scared right now, because there is no way that thing is back in my driveway. I couldn't get any more sleep because of its return. I made the worst mistake to buy that car, and I'm going crazy because of my mistake. I tried my best to get rid of it, either putting a brick on the pedal and letting it fly off a cliff, or keep on taking it back to the junkyard. It always kept showing back, even though I destroyed it. It always shrieked louder and louder, and it rattled each night. There's nothing I could do to put an end to this curse. But I really wish I didn't replace my old car.
Dear Diary, my name is Madison, but people like to call me Maddie for short. I'm a 7-year-old girl who is on summer break from 2nd grade, and we've moved to a house in a state called Colorado. We moved to a big cabin in a forest. I really love my new home. The forest is so quiet, and I love seeing the cool animals here. My dad shows me pretty cool new animals here as well. There are some kids here who also live in the forest who I became friends with. Our favorite game is hide and seek, and I always win because I'm good at hide and seek. The forest has so many places to hide, and it makes it even more fun. Dear Diary, when me and my friends were playing hide and seek, I went a little too far out in the forest, which I feel bad for doing so. I don't want to scare my parents. I came back the other way and I found something very cool. It was a well in the middle of the forest. Me and the whale had so much stuff that we talk about. He can say something to me unlike any other whale I knew. He's so funny how he talked about taking me inside him and exploring a new world that I'll never forget. I'd like to go down it one day, but I shouldn't trust strangers. Dear Diary, I showed my new friends to my other good friend, the whale. I told him how me and the whale would talk about each other and how we have our own ways of having fun. They didn't seem to believe that he could talk and thought I was weird because of it. I tried to prove that he was real by asking him to talk to them. I feel sad because I lost my two new friends. But it doesn't matter. They were mean to my friend Whale anyways. He told me to call him William as that was the whale's name. I like William. It sounds like a good name to me. Dear Diary, I went to the forest to apologize to William from the way my friends mistreated him yesterday. He said that it was my fault and that they went into his world and they never came out again. I hope they are happy in this world, and I really wanted to go in this world, like he asked. He told me that all I have to do is step on the bucket and he'll reel me down into his world. I tried to stand on the bucket, but I couldn't keep my balance, and I tripped and hit my head on the whale and fell inside him. Dear Diary, I woke up in a dark place inside of William, and I think this was the world he was talking about. I can hear William saying that there isn't food down here that we humans couldn't eat. I'm so scared. I don't know what to eat besides some branches. There isn't any food down here, and I miss my parents already. Dear Diary, I don't know how long I've been here in William's world. I'm starting to get sick to my stomach, and I feel really awful. I haven't eaten any food as there isn't anything I could eat. I called out to William, my only friend I had left. He said that I was dying and that it wouldn't be long before I passed away from starvation. I'm crying because I won't see my parents if I die. I'll miss you, Mommy and Daddy. Please find me.
I know most of you country folks lived on a farm like I did. If so, have you ever asked yourself what was the strangest thing that happened where you live? For me, it was a bloodthirsty creature inside my dad's barn. I'll explain. So, 3 years ago, I was mostly assigned to take care of the cows inside the barn. You know, feed them, wash them twice a day, and milk them for dinner and put them into storage so that it could be delivered to the big city somewhere in Nashville. The story happened when I was waking up one morning to fulfill my duties for the cows. I opened the barn and started counting the cows to make sure none of them were missing. But as it turns out, one of them was gone. All that was left of it was a big hunk of meat. I did my other chores to take care of the cows, and when I was finished, I went to my parents and told them about a cow slaughter in the barn. Of course, my parents were upset, not with me, but the fact that one of the cows got slaughtered. I don't know how it died because I knew the cows were secured in a big fence pen, and it was locked shut at night, and there was no way for anyone, or any human for that matter, to ever get into the barn and get over the pen and eat it alive. My dad told me to let me know if anything else happened with the cows immediately, because if we lose more cows, we won't have enough milk to ship to Nashville, or no milk to drink in the morning. For the next 2 weeks, cows keep disappearing one by one each day, and neither me or my parents could figure out this mystery. They bought more cows, and they were almost wasting most of their money on them only. I should also mention that every night I could hear the cows moving ferociously in the night. It was starting to get very irritating, but it was creepy nonetheless. One night I got out of bed and got dressed and went to go check on the cows. I noticed my pet dog Spartan barking at the barn like it knew something bad was in there. What was intruding the barn late at night? And to my horror, I know the answer to who was intruding the place and why the cows were missing. One cow was being slaughtered alive by a skinny and horrifying figure which looked like a humanoid creature. It let out a shriek of agony as I threw a shovel at it like a javelin my mom's friends talked about. It left as well, and I was left there to wonder what the hell just happened. I ran to my parents' room shouting their names and to come look at what happened in the barn. I had to explain that about the humanoid creature, which was hard to explain since I didn't have any proof of its existence except the little trail of blood leaving out the other end and out the barn window. My dad barricaded the window so that way it couldn't climb back out and eat the cows anymore. The next day, I was still having a hard time sleeping because of that horrific beast. I could hear its shrieks as I looked out the window. Then I looked out the window to figure out where that shriek is coming from. I see that thing run into the corn forest as I saw my dad walk out with a shotgun in his hand. I shouted relentlessly not to go in the corn forest as I gestured no and to come back to the house. It was already too late. I just sat there praying that he wouldn't get murdered by that thing and that he'll walk home safe that night. I woke up the next morning and went straight into the cornfield. And sadly, my prayers weren't answered. I found my dad lying on his stomach with his back cut wide open with dry blood from the warm sun. I ran to my mom crying as I couldn't get rid of the picture of my dad being dead. It was like staring at one of my beloved broken toys. I couldn't fix it and neither could my mom. But she could call the police, and she told them all about the humanoid figure that we kept seeing. We were to stay quarantined until the creature was detained by the FBI. For weeks on end, nothing really happened. There was until a couple police officers walked 2 miles on our property and found a hole dug in the ground. Let's just say they weren't found alive. They finally got detained by the FBI and we lived our lives as normal now. But every day when I work on the field, I always stared up at the sun. I knew my dad was watching over me